Good morning and welcome to Love Every Moment, coming to you today from Tuskegee, Alabama. Today's verse is 1 John 4:6. We are from God. He who knows God listens to us. He who is not from God does not listen to us. By this we know the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. We are from God. It implies that we have a love relationship with God. And it reminds me of one of the first verses that I started this series with, which I consider one of the scariest verses in the Bible. It's towards the end of the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus says, "Not everyone that says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' is going to the kingdom of heaven. And many are going to say, 'Lord, Lord, didn't we do all these Christian acts in your name?' And Jesus will say, 'I never knew you.'" We didn't have a love relationship. But this one, John is writing to an audience that knows God, and I hope you are one of them. And if you're not, it's not too late. Let's see. He who knows God listens to us. Of course, when John wrote this, the New Testament wasn't codified yet. There may have been a few letters circulating, but it wasn't all codified into what we know now as the New Testament. So it was passed around orally. That's why he says, he who knows God listens to us. Today, we have the scripture written, and we can read it and make sure it's correct, such as in 2 Timothy 3:16, "All scripture is inspired by God and profitable for teaching, for reproof, for correction, for training in righteousness." Back to our main one. So if someone says, "Hey, God told me such and such and such," anytime someone says, "God told me," I get a bit of a red flag. Not that they're always wrong, but I want to double check with Scripture. If it doesn't jibe with Scripture, there is a problem there. Let's see. He who knows God listens to us. He who is not from God does not listen to us. It's not going to jibe with Scripture. All right? By this we know the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. Now, I thought it was interesting that John uses the word error here, which doesn't sound that harsh. It's just a little off this way, a little off that way. If the devil's going to deceive us, he's not going to come out and say, "Hey, everybody, I'm the devil. Come and worship me." He's going to make it sound very Christian and sound very close, but it's going to be just a little bit off. Let's look at another one to show us. Colossians 2:8. "See to it that no one takes you captive through philosophy and empty deception, according to the tradition of men, according to the elementary principles of the world rather than according to Christ." The traditions of men can kind of creep into us because we live amongst that. Just one sample. What about the divorce rate? The world will say, "Hey, it's okay to divorce. You know, the first marriage is only practice anyway." That's the world speaking. That's not Christ speaking. Now, back to our main verse. There is one verse that I really like to refer to point us into that. Look out for the spirit of error. And that's in 1 Peter 3:17, which has the word error, but I'm going to back up toward the end of verse 15, which says, "Just as also our beloved brother Paul, according to the wisdom given to him, wrote to you." So Peter is referencing the letters that Paul has written. In verse 16 he says, "And also in all his letters, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to understand." Peter admits that it can be kind of tricky to understand. "Which the untaught and unstable distort, as they do also the rest of the scriptures." That's what they do. They distort scriptures. And by the way, Peter, with that statement, is putting Paul's letters on par with the rest of the scriptures. In that case, it was the Old Testament at the time. Let's see. "To their own destruction. You therefore, beloved, knowing this beforehand, be on your guard so that you are not carried away by the error," there we go again, "of unprincipled men and fall from your own steadfastness." So, we have to really make sure that our love relationship is right, and we can test it by the Bible itself. So let's choose to love every moment, because then we're going to love every moment. I'm your average wretch, and I hope you have a great week.